My problem statement was to design a toy for kids between 9 to 14 years. So, the main criteria here is to take the principles of biomimetics and bionics and adapt that principles in the toy design, and more or less the toy should be designed in wood. There is a material constraint for this. Before we actually get into that, we did a small literature survey where we tried to analyze the changes that these kids adopt in that particular age. These changes occur in basically physical, cognitive and social aspects. In the physical aspect, these things usually occur, like kid becomes a confident walker, he adjusts his posture, and he also tries to gauge something which is happening, and also his dexterity in hand increases. After that, the cognitive part. In the cognitive part, he deliberately starts exploring. He also tries to entertain in himself, also tries to understand some amount of natural languages. Also, he tries to make deliberate guesses. So, these are my key points in designing my toy forward. And see, these are some social and emotional aspects, like he starts kissing his toys, mimics its actions, recognizes some familiar faces, also tries to babble something in the actual languages. My animal of inspiration is toy, because toy is the most domesticated animal in the entire world, and kids instantly get connected with this animal, and more or less if we have a trained dogs, it can teach lot more to the kids. So, first I try to analyze the movements of the dog in all the possible aspects and try to mimic those movements in my toy as a mechanical aspect. So, first this is the overall dog as such. So, more or less this toy has prominent movements in its head, ears and its tail. I try to learn what kind of movements depict what kind of meaning from the dog's perspective. First is the ears part. So, different types of positions have different types of meanings. So, even I have studied the eyes and mouth part and what does it signify. I try to take all the positive aspects, I mean the movements such that it embraces some kind of positive feeling from the dog's point of view, in the tail as well. So, I try to mimic all these movements or some of the movements in my final toy design. Even we need to understand the design language of this particular dogs in order to incorporate, so that it makes more connected for the end user. These are some of the movements which usually dogs show in order to get close to the pictures. Okay. So, these are my initial concepts. The first concept is more or less I have tried to have a bead stand which is rotating as well as a bobbing tail. The second concept is, here actually the kid tries to push the toy, and at the same time using this axial cam, that head tries to bob around. In the third concept, actually it tries to mimic the stride or walking cycle of a dog using a gear mechanism, which translates the rotatory motion into forward and backward motion. And the fourth concept is more or less like a spinner, where some kind of the spheres I try to replace it with the heads of some animals, so that it just bobs out in and out, so that kids get some kind of expressions. And the fifth concept is I try to incorporate three movements. First is the body movement, using some levers, at the same time the head as well, which moves forward and backward. And I also had a spring suspended tail, so that it bobs around when we actually have this circular movement of the entire body. Sixth concept is using a simple pendulum, using it has simple harmonic motion. When the kid tries to push the toy, it actually bobs the head. And seventh concept is using a camshaft, the toy just tries to open its head down and pull its head up and down. At the same time the mouth opens and closes. And the fifth aspect is using this eccentric wheels and a bobbing head and a tail. So, these are since we have a restriction of the wood, we can't work on gears as such. So, I try to jot down some simple mechanism which I can adapt for these wooden toys. And these are some of the prototypes I made for the actual movements. So, this is this pendulum mechanism. Actually, when the kid moves, it actually have a bobbing head for this. Second is this mechanism with this eccentric wheel, where it has a spring for its head and tail, and also these ears have a free movement. These are the three final concepts which I tried to work on. I thought of mixing some of all the three concepts together and finally come up with more interesting aspects. Right now I am working on this. So, mechanism involved for the body movement is more or less like this. So, when you actually rotate the wheels, the body actually goes in the circular pattern. So in turn it also generates some kind of friction, so even the tail bobs off. For the head movement, I thought of using this slitted cantilever kind of thing, where the actually when the wheel rotates, the head moves forward and in backward direction.